Pastor Daniel's houseboy, Chinedu, was 14 and curious like a restless lizard. One night he heard heels clicking out of Madam's room. Though she had entered with slippers, he peeped through the curtain. He saw a woman who looked like Mama Grace, but not fully. Her eyes were deeper, her smile was hungrier. She gave him money and said, "Tell your ogre I went for vigil." That night, while returning from the forest with his calabash, he saw Mama Grace near the old motor park. She wore a red scarf instead of her usual white, and her wrapper clung to her hips like a different woman lived inside it. Okori blinked. Is that not Mama Grace? He whispered to himself. Before he could be sure, she entered a black jeep with tinted windows. The jeep swallowed her and drove toward the highway where the city lights waited like hungry eyes. In the town of Igboduma, people said Pastor Daniel could raise the dead with prayer, but it was his wife, Mama Grace, who was slowly burying the living. No one knew it yet, not the choir that sang like angels, not the market women who touched the hem of her wrapper for blessing, not even the man who slept beside her every night, breathing the scent of holy anointing oil from her skin. But the moon knew. And the moon never forgets what it sees. Igboduma was a small town squeezed between thick forest and red laterite roads that stained every shoe like old blood. Goats roamed like stubborn landlords, and the river Izima sang behind the houses as if it carried secrets from their ancestors. At the center of the town stood Throne of Mercy Chapel, the biggest church for miles. Its roof was bright blue like the sky after rain, and its bell rang every morning at 5 as if heaven itself was knocking. Pastor Daniel was the shepherd of that flock. He was tall, gentle-voiced, and walked as though his feet never fully touched the ground. People said he was chosen before birth. His mother swore that the day she delivered him, a white bird rested on the window and did not fly until he cried. But even greater than the pastor was his wife, Mama Grace. She preached during women's fellowship with fire that made old sinners weep. When she prayed, her voice trembled like thunder wrapped in velvet. The women called her Nnenkiachi, Mother of Light, yet light has shadows, and shadows follow everywhere. The first person to suspect something was not a prophet or a witch, it was a Pomine tapper named Okri. One night, while returning from the forest with his calabash, he saw Mama Grace near the old motor park. She wore a red scarf instead of her usual white, and her wrapper clung to her hips like a different woman lived inside it. Okori blinked. Is that not Mama Grace? He whispered to himself. Before he could be sure, she entered a black jeep with tinted windows. The jeep swallowed her and drove toward the highway where the city lights waited like hungry eyes. Okori told no one. In Igboduma, accusing a pastor's wife was like slapping an ancestor, but the seed of doubt entered the soil. By day, Mama Grace was a pillar. She visited the sick with steaming pepper soup. She organized youth prayers. She spoke against sin with a tongue sharp as fresh razor. Her favorite sermon was titled, "A Woman Must Be a Closed Calabash." The women repeated it in the market as if it were a proverb older than their grandmothers. Yet every evening, when the church closed and her husband locked himself in his study to prepare messages, Mama Grace would bathe with a strange black soap that smelled of cloves and river leaves. She would sit before her mirror and greet someone only she could see. "Tonight again," she would say, then the other face would rise. Pastor Daniel's houseboy, Chinedu, was 14 and curious like a restless lizard. One night he heard heels clicking out of Madam's room. Though she had entered with slippers, he peeped through the curtain. He saw a woman who looked like Mama Grace, but not fully. Her eyes were deeper, her smile was hungrier. She gave him money and said, "Tell your ogre I went for vigil." There was no vigil that night. Chinedu kept the money but could not keep the fear. Pastor Daniel began to dream troubling dreams. He saw his wife standing beside a river wearing two dresses, white and red. Each time he called her, the red one answered fast. He prayed harder. "Lord, expose every spirit of darkness near me." He cried on the altar. The congregation shouted amen without knowing they were praying against their own mother. One Tuesday, during women's fellowship, a trader named Mama Nkechi stood to testify. She said she had almost lost her marriage until Mama Grace counseled her. "The Lord used our mother mightily," she said, kneeling. "She even visited me at night to pray." The hall clapped. Only 3 people felt cold: Okori the tapper, Chinedu the houseboy, and an old blind woman called Nwani Oji, who suddenly shouted, "Which night? Which woman?" Silence fell like a dropped pot. Mama Grace smiled softly, but her fingers shook. After service, Nwani Oji waited outside the church and held Mama Grace's wrist. "My daughter," she whispered, "the road you walk has 2 mouths. One eats flesh, the other eats soul." Mama Grace laughed. "Old mother, you speak riddles." "Riddles save those who listen," the blind woman replied. That night, thunder rolled though the sky was clear. The jeep belonged to Chief Bassi Oduak, a wealthy contractor known for hotels that never slept. He had met Mama Grace years before her marriage, when she was still Grace Ebra, a girl who sang in roadside bars to pay school fees. Some doors never closed completely. When he returned from abroad, he sought her again, not the churchwoman, but the old flame buried under him books. He called her Rosalind. That was the name the night knew. Every Friday after midnight, a secret ward opened beyond the motor park. Women arrived with different names, men arrived with heavy wallets, and music crawled from hidden speakers like a lazy snake. There, Mama Grace became Rosalind, Queen of Laughter, dispenser of false comfort. No one from church recognized her, except one newcomer. A young evangelist posted to Igboduma named Brother Samuel. Brother Samuel had come to distribute tracts when he saw her stepping out of the jeep. The face was unmistakable, the same woman who led morning prayers with tears, Jesus. He muttered. Their eyes met. Mama Grace froze. The war had begun, long ago. Before marriage, Grace had visited a river shrine seeking help to escape poverty. The priestess gave her beauty and favor, with a condition: by day you may serve any god, by night you belong to the road. She accepted, thinking she could outgrow spirits, but spirits do not retire, they collect. Strange things began in the church. Choir members quarreled without cause. The offering box smelled of perfume at dawn. Men testified of dreams where a woman called them from the altar to a hotel. Pastor Daniel declared 7 days fasting. The first night, Mama Grace disappeared. Brother Samuel could no longer keep silent. He visited the pastor and spoke with trembling lips. Daddy, I saw Mommy in a place that is not of God. Pastor Daniel laughed at first, then he remembered the dreams, then the laughter died like a candle in rain. That evening he followed his wife. What he saw tore the curtain of his heart. Behind the hotel called Golden Moon, he saw Rosalind embracing Chief Bassi. Her laughter flew up like a wicked bird. Grace, he shouted. She turned. For a moment the two women fought inside her eyes, the pastor's wife and the night queen. Then the jeep sped away. Pastor Daniel fell to his knees on the wet ground. The shepherd had lost his own lamb. That same night, the river Izima overflowed though there was no rain. Fishermen heard a woman singing from beneath the bridge, a hymn mixed with bar music. Noni Oji told the town, the calabash has cracked. What was hidden would dance naked. Fear entered Igboduma like smoke. Mama Grace returned home before dawn and met her husband waiting with the Bible open at the book of Proverbs. Tell me it is not true. He begged. Tears rolled down her cheeks, but another smile stood behind them. Which of me do you want, Daniel? She asked, the one God married, or the one the world created? Outside, the church bell began to ring for morning prayers, and in that sound, two destinies prepared for battle. The morning after Pastor Daniel's discovery, Igboduma woke like a town carrying a secret sickness. The cocks still crowed, the women still swept their compounds, yet the air felt different, heavy, as if someone had soaked it in palm oil and sorrow. No one knew the storm that had entered the pastor's house, but storms have a smell. In the pastor's dining room, the kettle boiled like an angry spirit. Mama Grace set akara and pat before her husband with hands steady as a church pillar. Pastor Daniel did not eat. He stared at the woman he had married 12 years ago, the same face that had sung Amazing Grace at their wedding, the same lips he had kissed after Holy Communion. Yet last night those lips had belonged to another name. Grace, he began, tell me what I saw was a lie arranged by the devil. She poured pap into his cup. Daniel, every man sees what his heart fears most. Do not speak in proverbs with me. He thundered. I saw you in the arms of Chief Bassi. I heard them call you Rosalind. The spoon trembled in her hand. Outside, Chinedu the houseboy pretended to sweep the veranda, but his ears were inside the room. Mama Grace finally Saturday. They are part of a woman that do not follow her to marriage, she said slowly. Before I met you, hunger was my husband. Poverty was my father. I did things to survive. Pastor Daniel softened a little, but survival ended when Christ found you. She laughed, a sound too sharp for morning. Did it? Or did Christ meet a woman already owing debts to spirits older than your church? The words hung like a bad smell. He opened his Bible and began to read Psalms aloud, as if scripture were a broom that could sweep memory. But some stains do not fear soap. By noon, rumors were already walking faster than Okada bikes. Mama Nkechi swore she saw the pastor crying near the mango tree. Okori the palm wine tapper told his wife about the black jeep. Brother Samuel avoided the church office like a man dodging fire. At the market, tongues were grinding pepper and stories together. have you noticed Mama Grace no longer leads night vigil? Did you hear she travels every Friday? My cousin saw her with a rich chief. In Igboduma, rumor was a second religion. That evening, the blind woman Noni arrived, guided by a small girl. She knocked only once. I came to greet the two women living in this house, she announced. Pastor Daniel felt cold. Mama Grace forced a smile. Old mother, there is only one woman here. Noni Oji shook her head. One cooks soup, one drinks blood, one wears wrapper, one wears the moon. The room became quiet enough to hear a lizard breathe. She turned to the pastor. Son of the altar, do not fight what you do not understand. Some chains are older than prayer. Before leaving, she pressed a small cowrie into his palm. When the river calls, answer with truth. Brother Samuel could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw Mama Grace stepping out of the jeep like a queen of two kingdoms. He decided to confront her directly. He met her in the church office arranging welfare envelopes. Mommy, I must speak, he said. She smiled with the face the congregation knew. Speak, my son. What I saw. It is eating my faith. Her smile did not fall, but her eyes became a locked door. Sometimes young men see temptation and call it revelation. He trembled. I know what I saw. She leaned close and whispered, then learn to forget if you love your ministry. That night Brother Samuel dreamed of drowning in perfume. A 17-year-old chorister named Blessing came for counseling, crying that a strange woman had visited her hostel at midnight and warned her to leave the choir. She looked like you, Mommy, but her voice was not yours, the girl said. Mama Grace felt the ground shift beneath her feet. The other life was beginning to leak into the Holy One. Desperate, Pastor Daniel traveled to see his spiritual father, Apostle Jude in Umuahia. The apostle prayed for hours and finally spoke, your wife stands between covenant and appetite. Deliverance is possible, but only if she confesses fully. Spirits hate partial truth. Daniel returned with hope wrapped in fear. That Friday, Mama Grace prepared as usual for her night meeting. She wore a simple gown and told her husband she was going for intercessor's prayer. Pastor Daniel followed her again, this time with Brother Samuel. They watched from across the road as she entered Golden Moon Hotel and emerged minutes later transformed. Red lipstick, high heels, laughter too loud for a pastor's wife. Inside the bar, Rosalind rode like a crowned storm. Men greeted her with envelopes, music licked her waist. Chief Bassi kissed her hand like a loyal dog. Brother Samuel began to cry. Pastor Daniel felt something die permanently in his chest. Unable to bear it, the pastor called a police officer who attended his church. They raided the hotel room where Rosalind entertained a client. But when the door opened, only a frightened young woman sat there, not Mama Grace. The officer apologized for the mistake. Outside, the real Rosalind watched from another corridor and smiled. Spirits had shifted the cloth. That same night the Ezima River rose again. Fishermen found dead catfish arranged like letters near the bank. Noni Oji declared in the square, the woman who borrowed beauty must return interest. Children refused to fetch water. At dawn Mama Grace returned home tired but glowing with the confidence of the night. Pastor Daniel blocked the doorway. Today you will choose, he said. Grace or Rosalind? Christ or the road? She removed her wig and let her natural hair fall like a curtain. Daniel, a woman can carry 2 pots on her head if hunger teaches balance. Not in my house. Then break the pots and see which one caught you. The battle lines were drawn. On Sunday, while Mama Grace led testimony session, a drunk man staggered into church shouting, Rosalind. My sweet Rosalind, why did you run from me? The congregation froze as if God had switched off time. Ushers dragged him out, but the seed had exploded. Faces turned to the altar. Whispers grew wings. Mama Grace continued the service with a voice of iron, yet sweat baptized her makeup. That night Pastor Daniel called a family meeting with church elders. My wife will undergo deliverance and counseling immediately, he announced. Mama Grace laughed before them all. Deliverance from what? From feeding this church with my sweat. From helping poor girls with the money you call tithe. The elders gasped. One asked softly, Mommy, are the rumors true? She looked at their faces, some accusing, some hungry for gossip. I am many things, she said, but I am not your prisoner. She walked out of the meeting like a queen leaving a small court. That midnight, as Pastor Daniel prayed alone, a cold wind filled the sitting room though windows were closed. A voice, half woman half water, spoke, leave her to us. She signed before she met you. He shouted the name of Jesus. The bulb burst. Fear entered him like a tenant that paid rent in advance. The houseboy Chinedu, unable to bear the terror, packed his small bag and fled to his uncle's house, telling stories of a madam who changed faces at night. His tales fed the town like dry firewood. Chief Bassi sent a message to the pastor: "Leave Rosalind in peace. The church cannot feed her the way the world does." It was a declaration of war. Pastor Daniel tore the letter and prepared for battle with fasting. But the enemy was not only outside, it was sleeping in his bed, yet when alone. Mama Grace wept before the mirror. "I wanted to be clean," she told her reflection. "But the road refused to release me." The mirror answered with another face, the face of Rosalind. "Power has a price, my sister." Igboduma split into two camps: those who believed the pastor was persecuted, those who believed Mama Grace was misunderstood. Women stopped attending fellowship, offerings reduced, miracles dried like harmattan leaves. The church that once shook the town now shook itself. One evening a strange prophet arrived saying God sent him to expose a night altar in the house of a man of God. He requested to meet Mama Grace. She welcomed him with a smile that carried sharp object. "Man of God," she said, "be careful what you hunt. Some animals become hunters." The prophet shivered. Pastor Daniel announced a 3-day crusade titled, "The Truth Must Stand." Flyers covered the town, drums were hired, deliverance ministers invited. Mama Grace helped organize everything as a dutiful wife, but at night Rosalind prepared her own crusade in Golden Moon, 2 altars, 1 woman, 1 town waiting to explode. The week of the crusade arrived like a pregnant cloud, heavy with what nobody could name. Igboduma smelled of dust, incense, and gossip. Every compound discussed only one matter: would heaven expose Mama Grace or defend her? The church field was decorated with blue and white canopies. Loudspeakers stood like metal soldiers facing the town. On the banner hung Pastor Daniel's face beside his wife's, both smiling as if nothing in the world had cracked. But under the smiles, objects were sharpening. 3 nights before the crusade, Pastor Daniel dreamt again. He stood before 3 doors. The first door was painted white and smelled of anointing oil. The second was red and smelled of perfume and smoke. The third was made of river reeds and dripped water. A voice said, "Choose one, shepherd. Only one will save your house." He woke up sweating and called for prayer warriors at 3 a.m. Mama Grace slept beside him peacefully, too peacefully. By day, she organized the crusade committee, arranged chairs for 5,000 people. "The Lord will surprise us," she told the ushers. By night, Rosalind held court at Golden Moon. "Tell the girls new clients are coming from the city. This weekend must rain money," she declared. 1 woman, 2 calendars. Brother Samuel discovered a file in the church office while searching for old baptism records. Inside was a medical report bearing Mama Grace's maiden name, Grace Ebra, dated 15 years earlier. It spoke of a child delivered and immediately taken by relatives. No one in church knew Mama Grace ever had a child before marriage. Samuel felt as if he had opened a grave. He carried the paper to Pastor Daniel. The pastor's hands could not bear it. "My wife? A mother before me." The past was beginning to stand up. Pastor Daniel secretly traveled to Umu's, Mama Grace's native village. An elderly woman recognized her photo and sighed. "Grace. The girl who sang like a bird." She suffered. A rich man used her and disappeared. The child, they said, left the earth. Some say the river took him. Another said, she went to seek help from Mama Urema at the Ezima shrine. After that, money began to follow her like a dog. Daniel returned to Igboduma with a heart heavier than yam mortar. On the first day of crusade, the visiting prophet, Prophet Ezekiel, mounted the altar. "There is a woman here serving 2 husbands, Christ and the night. If she does not repent, the ground will speak." The crowd, some of them looked towards where Mama Grace was. All eyes turned secretly toward Mama Grace seated among dignitaries, her gaily shining like innocence. She clapped the loudest. During prayer, a teenage girl began to scream, "I see a woman wearing white in the day and red at night." Ushers tried to carry the girl out, but she pointed directly at the altar where Mama Grace sat. The microphone fell from Pastor Daniel's hand. For a moment even crickets seemed to stop breathing. Mama Grace stood gracefully and collected the mic. "Every spirit of confusion, I rebuke you," she declared. The girl fainted. The service ended in uneasy songs. Angered by the crusade noise, Chief Bassi invited journalists from the city and sponsored an online blog post. "Pastor's wife accused of secret double life. Who is Rosalind?" Screenshots circulated like wildfire. Youth in the town began to whisper her other name openly. the battle left the church walls and entered the marketplace of the internet. In the pastorage was a small store nobody entered. One afternoon Chinedu's cousin, who replaced him, had movement inside though the door was locked. That night Pastor Daniel forced it open. Inside he found red shoes arranged like soldiers, perfumes labeled with strange symbols, a small mirror wrapped with black thread, and a photo of a little boy by the river. The pastor sat on the floor and wept like a child, confronted with the items. Mama Grace did not deny. I tried to manage both worlds, she confessed. The church gave me respect. The night gave me power. Poverty taught me never to trust only one God. Pastor Daniel held her shoulders. Grace, Christ is enough. She shook her head gently. For some women, enough came too late. Chief Bassi visited the pastor openly, arriving with escorts and arrogance. Man of God, he said, release Rosalind. She belongs to a different economy. Pastor Daniel replied, she is my wife, not your property. Chief laughed. Ask her who she runs to when church offering delays. The two men stood like rams before fight. The town watched. That night the river flooded the main road, stopping travelers from entering town for the crusade finale. Fishermen claimed they saw a woman's image on the water wearing a crown of foam. Noni Oji interpreted, the river is coming for its daughter. Split or truth must be paid. Fear multiplied. Rosalind cornered Brother Samuel behind the church after evening service. Small evangelist, she purred, you can enjoy what you are fighting. She pressed an envelope into his hand filled with foreign currency. Leave this matter. Preach heaven and forget earth. Samuel dropped the money as if it burned. My soul is not for sale. She smiled sadly. Everyone has a price. You just don't know yours yet. On the second day of crusade, a young man of about 16 appeared asking for Mama Grace. His name was Tari. I was told she is my mother, he said. The news ran through the congregation like electric shock. Mama Grace saw him and almost fainted. The river had returned her seat, pressed by events. Pastor Daniel handed the microphone to his wife during the evening session. Tell the people everything, he pleaded. Mama Grace looked at the sea of faces, women she counseled, men she prayed for, children who called her mommy. She began, I am Grace, I am also Rosalind. Both of them grew from the same hungry girl. Gasps rose like birds. She narrated her youth, the pregnancy, the shrine covenant, the struggle between church dignity and night survival. Some wept, some hissed, some left their seats. The church split before the altar. Prophet Ezekiel declared, confession has opened the door, but deliverance requires sacrifice. The covenant must be broken at its source, the Ezima shrine. Mama Grace was afraid. That place does not forgive, she said. The crusade finale was fixed to end with a prayer march to the river. Chief Bassi vowed to stop it. The shrine priestess sent warnings. The town council feared issues. Pastor Daniel announced, tomorrow truth will choose its owner. Mama Grace spent the night packing 2 bags, one white, one red, unsure which life she would carry. The weather changed though the sky was clear again. Dogs howled toward the river. Noni Oji lit a small fire and sang an old song. 2 faces, 1 mirror, one must break for morning to come. Igboduma waited like a stage before judgment. The day of the march to Ezima River arrived with a sky the color of old ash. Even the sun looked afraid to shine fully on Igboduma, as if it too had heard that a woman would wrestle her destiny before evening. Church bells rang earlier than usual. Drums answered from distant compounds. People wore white, others wore black, and some wore both, like the town itself could not decide. Inside the parsonage, Mama Grace sat between the 2 bags she had packed. Inside the parsonage, Mama Grace sat between the 2 bags she had packed. The white bag contained her Bible, anointing oil, choir scarf, photographs from her wedding. The red bag held perfumes, high heels, and the key to Golden Moon Hotel. Pastor Daniel entered and saw the choice displayed like 2 open graves. Which one are you taking? He asked softly. She touched both as a mother would touch quarreling twins. I don't know which one will let me breathe. He knelt before her. Grace, choose life. Outside, the procession began to gather. The young boy Tari waited at the gate, staring at the house with the hunger of a child seeking a lost home. Mama Grace called him in. Are you truly my son? She asked. My grandmother said you sang for me when I was a baby, he replied. She said the river tried to take me but a priestess kept me. Tears broke her carefully built walls. She hugged him, the first honest hug in many years. Pastor Daniel watched and felt mercy wrestle jealousy inside him. the crusade crowd moved like a long white snake toward Igboduma. Choir members sang warfare songs. Prophet Ezekiel walked in front holding a wooden cross. Elders followed carrying lanterns though it was daytime. From the opposite direction came another group, women of the night led secretly by Rosalind's associates, pretending to be ordinary onlookers. Chief Bassi watched from his jeep parked near the bridge. Chewing gum as if destiny were meat, Igboduma had never seen such a divided parade. Igboduma River greeted them with restless waves though no wind blew. The water looked darker than usual, like a pot where secrets were cooking. Mwani Oji arrived tapping her stick. "Do not shout at the river," she warned. "Speak to it as to an elder wife." Prophet Ezekiel ignored her and began loud prayers, commanding spirits to appear. The water answered with silence, then laughter, soft, female, chilling, rose from beneath the bridge. From the bush path came Mama Urema, the shrine priestess, dressed in white beads and river leaves. Her eyes rested on Mama Grace like a mother meeting a runaway daughter. "You have returned, Rosalind," she said. The crowd gasped. Pastor Daniel stepped forward. "Her name is Grace, servant of Christ." The priestess smiled. "Names are clothes. I know the body inside." Mama Urema produced an old calabash and brought out a tiny scroll wrapped in leather. On the night of hunger, she read, "Grace Ebera swore to serve the road so that favor and beauty may follow her. First fruit of her womb belongs to Igboduma." All eyes turned to Tari. The boy shivered. Mama Grace screamed, "No. He is not payment." The river responded with a sudden swell that splashed their feet. Prophet Ezekiel began to chant in tongues. Pastor Daniel joined. The choir sang louder. The priestess struck her staff on the ground. "Religion cannot cancel death," she declared. "Only another life or greater truth can." Thunder answered from a cloudless sky. Rosalind stood inside Mama Grace, fighting to rise. She fell to the sand, shaking between two voices, with tears and dust on her face. Mama Grace spoke to the river, to the town, to God. "I was a hungry girl. I traded tomorrow for today. I became Rosalind to survive. But I found love and wanted to change. If a life must pay, let it be mine, not my son." Tari ran to hold her. "I came to find a mother, not to become sacrifice." He cried. The crowd wept openly. Unexpectedly Chief Bassi stepped forward. "The boy is not only hers," he announced. "He is mine. I abandoned them. If the river wants death, I am the real debtor." Gossip shook the gathering. The priestess studied him and nodded. The water began to circle like a pot stirred by invisible hand. A shape formed, half woman, half wave. The voice spoke. "Three have spoken truth. One must remain with me or the town will carry the curse." Silence swallowed even the birds. Pastor Daniel stepped into the water up to his knees. "Take me. I am the shepherd who failed to guard his house." Mama Grace rushed after him. "No. I am the owner of the death." Chief Bassi followed. "I caused the beginning." 3 adults arguing for death while a boy begged for life. This was the courtroom of Igboduma. The blind woman lifted her voice. "River Mother, hear me. The greatest payment is not death but truth lived openly. Let the woman choose one face before the people and walk that road without hiding." The waves come slightly as if considering. Mama Grace removed the small mirror tied with black thread from her purse, the last link to Rosalind, and smashed it on a stone. A fierce wind blew. The red bag she had carried caught fire mysteriously and burned to ashes while the white bag remained untouched. The crowd shouted. The watery figure slowly dissolved. "No blood today," the voice said. "But memory will test you. Walk straight or we return." The river returned to ordinary movement. Even the sun dared to shine. Chief Bassi fell on his knees before Mama Grace. "I release you from every chain I held," he said. She replied, "And I forgive the man who created Rosalind." Tari stood between them like a bridge God finally completed. Pastor Daniel embraced his wife, unsure whether he held a healed woman or a fragile truce. Some people celebrated the miracle. Others said it was drama arranged by pastors. A few left the church permanently, but secrets were now naked, and naked secrets lose power. In the weeks that followed, Mama Grace began counseling under supervision. She closed every connection with Golden Moon. Tari moved into the parsonage to learn a new family. Brother Samuel regained courage to preach, yet at night she sometimes woke sweating, hearing distant music from a life trying to call her back. Deliverance is a journey, not a bus stop. One Friday a message arrived on her phone. "Rosalind, the city misses you. Come and row." She carried the phone to her husband and together they deleted it. The old chain knocked. The new door answered. the blind woman visited once more. You have chosen a difficult honesty, she told Mama Grace. Keep walking. The river respects those who respect themselves. Then she disappeared from the town as mysteriously as she came. Months later, Mama Grace stood before the Women Fellowship and said, I am not a perfect mother of light. I am a woman rescued by truth. If God can keep me standing, He can keep anyone, the hall replied with cautious but growing amen. Outside, Izima flowed quietly, keeping the rest of its stories, and in Igboduma people learned that holiness is sometimes a wounded thing learning to walk again. Igboduma believed the matter had ended at the river, but stories do not die simply because people are tired of them. A snake whose head is bruised can still bite in the dark. The town returned to normal on the surface, markets opened, children chased tires, the church bell resumed its confident voice, yet under that calm, unfinished deaths were sharpening their teeth. Rosalind's former companions did not accept the new grace. To them she was not a rescued soul but a runaway queen who abandoned her throne. One evening 3 of them, Sword, Amoka, and Joy, arrived from the city claiming to seek deliverance. They attended service wearing long skirts borrowed from neighbors, but their eyes carried the old fire. After closing prayer they confronted Mama Grace behind the vestry. You left us with the clients and the police, Walla, Sword hissed. You must settle our losses. Mama Grace answered calmly, I have left that road. Follow me out of it, Amoka laughed. Holiness does not pay house rent. Their visit planted new fear in the pastor's home. Tari, settling into his new life, felt drawn to the river that almost claimed him. One afternoon he sneaked there and discovered fresh offerings hidden near the bridge, perfumes and red candles. Similar to those once in his mother's secret room, someone was trying to reopen the covenant, he told Pastor Daniel. The shepherd realized the battle had changed shape, not ended. At the same time a scandal shook the choir. Blessing, the girl who once saw visions, accused the choir master of harassment. The man claimed she was possessed and lying. The church divided again, and old tongues revived. Ever since Mama Grace returned, confusion follows. The devil was using many doors. Chief Bassi began visiting Tari with gifts, phones, clothes, promises of foreign school. Pastor Daniel struggled watching the man who once shared his wife now trying to buy his son's loyalty. One night he confessed to God, Lord, I can fight demons, but how do I fight jealousy? Grace overheard and held his hand. Forgiveness is a longer sermon than any you preach, she said. The 3 former girls recorded a video claiming Mama Grace still worked with them secretly. They threatened to release it online unless paid heavily. Instead of hiding, Mama Grace called a church meeting and invited them to speak publicly. Under the weight of open light, their lies became thin. One by one they admitted the blackmail. The town saw courage wearing a woman's face, yet the spiritual attack grew. Drums were heard again near Izima at midnight. Tari fell sick with strange fever, calling the name Rosalind in his sleep. Mama Grace knew the shrine priestess was being used by others who profited from the old covenant. She decided to confront the past without crowd or crusade. She went alone to the priestess' hut carrying only her Bible. I have chosen my road, she said. Release the boy and the town. Mama Urema studied her for long. Many choose in daylight and change at night. Watch me and see. The priestess gave a small calabash of water. Wash his feet with this and speak only truth over him. It was not surrender, it was a test. That night Mama Grace washed Tari's feet. Some angels wear dust on their feet. One evening Pastor Daniel and Mama Grace walked to Izima together, not as warriors but as witnesses. The river looked ordinary, children were swimming, women washing clothes. Daniel said, we survived what wanted to scatter us. She replied, survival is the first miracle, becoming better is the second. They held hands like beginners. Igboduma learned hard lessons, that a saint can have yesterday, that gossip can spread faster than spirits, that truth spoken openly is stronger than secret perfection. Parents began to talk to their daughters about choices instead of curses. Mama Grace started a shelter for vulnerable girls called Second Sunrise, using her painful knowledge as lamp for others. Even some of the former night girls joined her, turning their scars into testimonies. People said God built a hospital from a wound. Years later during a Thanksgiving service, Tari, now a young man, stood on the altar to share testimony. I came to this town as a debt, he said, but I became a son. Mama Grace looked at him, then at her husband, and knew the 2 faces had finally become one. Outside, Izima flowed peacefully, minding its eternal business, and so the tale of Mama Grace teaches that a person is not the worst chapter of their life. Night may borrow a woman, but morning can reclaim her, and even rivers that remember old oats still listen when truth speaks loudly enough. Tari gained admission to study architecture at the State University. On his first day, while students argued about hostels and lecturers, he felt someone whisper his name though no one stood near him. Tari, son of crossings. He turned sharply, only the wind answered. Before he left home, Mama Grace had anointed his forehead. Your future is bright, she said, but do not answer every call that knows your name. Pastor Daniel added jokingly, and avoid Lagos girls. They laughed, not knowing the joke was a prophecy. In class he met Nkairo, a quiet girl with eyes like deep wells. She greeted him as if they were old friends. You are Tari from Igboduma, she said. Yes. How do you know? She only smiled. Some faces travel before their owners. From that day she appeared wherever he went, library, cafeteria, evening lectures, never chasing him, yet always present like a gentle shadow. That night Tari dreamt he stood on a bridge dividing two rivers, one clear, one dark. A woman wearing Mama Grace's face but Rosalind's smile beckoned, come and finish what your mother started. He woke up screaming, roommates mocked him, the dream refused to laugh. At the campus gate a man selling second-hand books called him aside. Strong boy, you need protection in this wicked school, he said, offering a silver ring engraved with a wave symbol. Tari felt heat on his palm the moment he touched it. My mother warned me about gifts, he replied and walked away. The man watched him with hungry interest. Mama Grace phoned that same evening. I saw water around you in my prayers, she said. Be careful of new friends and easy money. Tari did not tell her about the dream. Sons sometimes protect mothers with silence. Within weeks Tari discovered a popular campus group called the Mariners. They sponsored parties, paid fees for poor students, and recruited only the gifted. Their symbol was the same wave on the silver ring. Nkairo warned him, they don't help people, they harvest them. Tari designed a brilliant hostel plan that won departmental praise. Immediately a scholarship offer arrived from an unknown foundation requiring only one condition: attend a river retreat during semester break. The form carried Izima's old symbol. His destiny was knocking with official letterhead. Chief Bassi appeared on campus in a shining SUV. My son, let me sponsor everything. Forget suspicious offers, he said. Tari felt torn between pride and need. That night Tari followed Nkairo to a deserted part of campus where an abandoned fountain stood. The water suddenly began to flow though the pump was not alive. From the pool came the familiar voice, child of grace. Child of Rosalind. Choose your river. Nkairo held his hand. Your battle has started. 2 days after the abandoned fountain, Tari received an official-looking envelope in his hostel mailbox. It had gold embossing, a silver wax seal, and no sender name, only a wave symbol engraved faintly in the corner. Inside was a card. You have been selected for the Mariners Retreat. Attendance is mandatory for gifted sons and daughters. Only those who step forward will see the true path. Tari felt a chill crawl up his spine. Izima's mark was unmistakable. He thought of Mama Grace's warning, be careful of new friends and easy money. He showed the letter to Nkairo during lunch at the campus cafeteria. She studied it carefully, her eyes narrowing. The Mariners are dangerous, she said. They don't just guide you, they harvest you. They have a network beyond the city. Students vanish every year, and nobody speaks about them. Tari laughed nervously. Disappear. You mean? Like kidnappings? She shook her head. They call it destiny. They call it opportunity. The river calls it payment. Her words made his stomach twist. That night, Tari wrestled with his conscience. Option 1, ignore the letter. Stay safe, follow his studies, rely on Mama Grace and Pastor Daniel. Option 2, accept it. Find out what the Mariners truly wanted. He opened his Bible, read a passage Mama Grace had once underlined. The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still. Exodus 14 verse 14, he felt the words contradict the invitation. Destiny never asked permission. By midnight, he wrote a note, I accept your invitation. I will come. The retreat location was a deserted riverside lodge outside the city, cloaked in mist. Students who had received letters walked silently through the gate, each carrying a small lantern. The building had ancient carvings, some resembled waves, others faces distorted by pain and laughter. Tari immediately recognized symbols from his dream, a bridge dividing two rivers, one dark, one clear. A tall man emerged, dressed in black robes with a silver ring on his finger, the same symbol he had refused in town. "Welcome, Tari Daniel," the man said. Voice smooth as oil, eyes like deep wells, he introduced himself. The man with the silver ring. The initiates were told to sit in a circle around a shallow pond in the lodge courtyard. The man with the silver ring spoke. "Tonight, the river tests your heart. Only truth allows passage. Lies drown in the deep." Each student had to hold a stone representing a secret. One by one, they dropped it in the water while confessing the truth aloud. A girl whispered, "I cheated on my exams." And the stone sank. A boy confessed stealing from the hostel pantry, and the water rippled as if acknowledging a small payment. When Tari's turn came, he hesitated. He thought of Rosalind, of the abandoned covenant, of his father's wealth, and of his mother's warnings. Finally, he spoke, "I am the son of Grace and Daniel. I fear the river calling me to a path I do not yet understand. I do not want to betray my family. I do not want to betray myself." The water glowed faintly and ripples danced like silver snakes. The man with the silver ring smiled. "You have passed the first test. But the river never sleeps." After the pond ritual, the initiates were led into a dark hall with mirrors covering every wall. "Look," said the man with the silver ring. "Each mirror shows not who you are, but who the river believes you could become." Tari saw himself in multiple forms: a leader of a secret society like the Mariners, a man sitting alone in a dark river, a preacher of truth with a crown of white light. The mirrors whispered temptations, power, money, fame, fear. He fought back with a prayer under his breath, "God, keep me from what is not mine." The glass shattered violently, but none of the shards touched him. The others screamed in panic. The man with the silver ring nodded approvingly. Few survived the mirrors. Fewer survived themselves. At dawn, Tari found Carol waiting outside. "I didn't come here by chance," she said. "I am daughter of a prophet killed by the Mariners. They have been building armies of gifted youths for decades. They want you, not for your skills, but for what you carry in your blood, the river's covenant." Tari's heart thundered. "The river's covenant? You mean me?" "Yes," she whispered. "The river remembers the debt your mother almost paid alone. Now it calls you." That evening, during a night gathering, the man with the silver ring called Tari forward. "You are the child of two rivers," he said. "Grace failed the first test. Now the river demands her son."